Back home now and live to Canberra, we're listening to the Opposition Leader Peter Dutton. He's speaking about the Indigenous Voice to Parliament referendum.
The government has published a booklet which has the yes and no cases put so that people can look at the information, so that they can look at the way in which you've got all of the detail before you and you can make an informed judgment. The fact is that many people, particularly those where English is not their first language, they do want to sit down, particularly older Australians, not online, but to do it with the booklet in front of them so that they can, in a language that they feel most comfortable with, read all the detail, and then if there are further questions they can research from there. That's a perfectly reasonable position to put. The other thing, of course, that the Prime Minister has to do is to provide equal funding for both sides of the argument. That is completely and utterly rational. It's the precedent, and it should be the case in relation to the yes or no case. That whether you agree with the yes or no case doesn't matter. It's about informing Australians and providing them with the most information that you reasonably can in a measured way so that people can have some of their own questions or hesitations answered or have their own views reinforced in relation to how it is that they want to vote. I'll just make one other comment, and I'm happy to take questions. It was obvious this morning that from Jim Chalmers' interview that on the ABC, it was obvious from Jim Chalmers' interview that he's been thinking about everything over the Christmas break except how to help Australian families. It is clear that under Labor you will always pay more for your mortgages. It was true in years past and it's true again now. The government's making decisions, including in relation to industrial relations, which is putting upward pressure on interest rates, and Australian families know that they've got a government that is thinking about everything but them. There are families who are really worried about the situation that they face in their own budgets. And I think the government needs to explain properly in the run-up to the budget in May how it is they're going to provide support to families, because we've got small businesses now with double-digit overdrafts. They're paying huge money to the banks to service, and it's going to get tough. And the Australian public voted this Prime Minister in because he said he was going to lower interest rates and lower energy costs. All that's happened since then is that they've gone up dramatically.
Mr. Dutton, what's your understanding of this information campaign? Because Tom Rogers has already come out and said that there would be a booklet, that's a household guide that would inform citizens about the process and what they need to do. He said there would be no yes.
That was the government's initial position, that there would be no booklet detailing both sides of the case. And so Mr. Rogers, is a fine public servant, no doubt going off what the minister had told him. But it's clear by the media reporting.
Yes, it's only the media reporting that you're.
Well,
have you got any paperwork?
I have no doubt that Phil Curry wouldn't be publishing this unless he was absolutely confident. I know he would never disclose his sources, but I suspect his sources are fairly high-level sources and fairly credible sources with a knowledge of some of the detail of the government's current thinking. Now, he would never disclose his sources. I would never drop somebody in as to who I think the source could be, but there are some very Machiavellian characters in the government and some who know how to get a story out to the media. So I'm confident that there is integrity in this reporting.
Mr. Dutton, is the coalition support for the machinery to update, the legislation to update the machinery referendum still contingent on that equal funding, or is there something else you'd be willing to consider as a compromise to support that led through the Senate?
No, our position has been that we want to see the yes and no case presented so that Australians can be properly informed. I think that is treating Australians with respect. And as I say, particularly Australians of a non-English speaking background, they want the information before them so that they can make an informed judgment. And both cases need to be funded equally, and that's just fair as well. The Prime Minister's looked very tricky in relation to holding back one case, not presenting those facts, and by saying that there'll be no public funding. He's proposing a significant change to Australia's constitution. That is not an insignificant undertaking by a government. And the funding needs to be provided because Australians need to be informed, and that's as it should be. That's the position that's the position that we've got. It's the position that we have put to the government in our negotiations with them. And obviously the situation for the government has changed somewhat in the last 24 hours in the Senate as well, which I suspect has fed into the government's thinking. Charles.